Hi everybody, welcome to Unit 1, Video 1. If you do not have your Show Me What You Can Do notes, please pause the video and go get them out now so that you can follow along. All right, so let's take a look at what we got here. So number 1, it says, I can evaluate an expression using substitution. So Unit 1 is a review of Algebra 1. And remember, one of the topics in Algebra 1 is talking about substitution. So we're going to go ahead and plug these numbers in here for the variables that they go with. So we have 2 times the absolute value of y, which is -3, minus 3 times the absolute value of x, which is -2, absolute value, plus the absolute value of y, which is -3 squared. All right, so remember, I'm going to go ahead and simplify the absolute value first. And between here, there's an implied multiplication sign. So 2 times 3, the absolute value of -3 is 3. I'm going to bring down this -3 times the absolute value of -2, which is 2, plus the absolute value of -3, which is 3 squared. All right, now that I've gotten rid of the absolute value, I'm just going to simplify. So I have 2 times 3 is 6, minus 6 plus 9. 3 squared is 9. And then I'm going to go ahead, and 6 minus 6 is 0, plus 9 leaves me with just a positive 9. That's my answer. All right, another evaluate problem. So let's go ahead and plug in x equals 1/2 wherever we see x. So I have 11 minus 1/2 over 3 plus 1/2 times 1/2 minus 3. All right, so on the top, I'm going to get 11 minus 1/2, which is going to give me 10 and 1/2. On the bottom, 3 plus 1/2 is going to give me 3 and 1/2. And 1/2 minus 3 is going to give me a -2 and 1/2. Okay, so since I need to multiply these, and I don't want to work with a mixed number right now, my next step at the denominator, I'm going to turn them into improper fractions so that I can multiply them. So this is going to turn into 7/2 times -5/2. Okay, so my next step here, I'm also going to turn 10 and 1/2. I'm going to put it into an improper fraction. So I'm going to change this to 21/2 divided by, then I'm going to multiply straight across here. So I'm going to get -35/4. Because remember, when you multiply fractions, you multiply straight across. But again, I'm working with fractions. I don't want this division bar. So I'm going to think of it as the division sign. So 21/2 divided by -35/4. All right, so now, how do you divide fractions? Well, to divide fractions, you multiply by the reciprocal. So hopefully all of this stuff is coming back to you from Algebra 1. So I'm going to change it to multiplication, and I'm going to flip, so it becomes 4/-35. And again, with simplifying or multiplying fractions here, I can cross-simplify. So 2 and 4, I can factor out the 2, so this is going to turn into a 1. This is going to turn into a 2. Between 21 and -35, I can factor out a 7 out of both of them, so this becomes a 3. This becomes a -5. And then again, with fractions, we need to multiply straight across. So when I multiply straight across, I get 6/-5. All right, well, I could be done, except I'm not, because it says leave it as a mixed number. So remember, to turn it into a mixed number, this one is going to turn into -1 and 1/5. All right, so there's my answer here. So that was a little bit of review of substitution. Remember, Unit 1 is a review of Algebra 1 topics. All right, next skill, number 2. I can solve an algebraic equation. All right, so here, let's go ahead and solve these for x. Now, when I have a fraction equals a fraction, it's called a proportion. And the easiest way to solve proportions is to cross-multiply. So what you might want to do first is put these in brackets. And then we're going to cross-multiply. So I'm going to get 8 times the quantity 8x minus 5 is equal to 13 times the quantity 5x minus 4. All right, so now what I can do from here is I want to make sure I distribute. So when I distribute here, I'm going to get 64x minus 40. Bring down the equal sign. Then I'm going to distribute the 13. So I'm going to get 13 times 5x is going to give me 65x. And 13 times negative 4 is going to give me a negative 52. All right, so I need to combine my like terms. Since I have positive 65x here, I'm going to subtract 64x from the right-hand side, and I'm going to add the 52 to the left-hand side. Okay, so these are going to cancel. Negative 40 plus 52 is going to give me 12. 65x minus 64x leaves me with 1x. So my answer is x equals 12, or 12 equals x. All right, so right now, I want you to pause the video and you try to do number 4. Okay, so let's take a look at how you did. So for number 4, here's my work. And my final answer is I got 5 equals y, or y equals 5. So hopefully you did the same thing. All right, let's take a look at the next problem over here. Okay, so for number 5, we're solving for the indicated letter. And for this one, they want us to solve for b. So we have to get b all alone. We want it to say b equals whatever. All right, so I have a equals 1/2 b times h. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of this 1/2. So since this is saying 1/2 times b times h, I'm going to divide by 1/2. But remember, dividing by 1/2 is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So I'm going to multiply each side by 2. So the 1/2 is going to go away. So I'm going to get 2a equals bh. Now I'm trying to isolate for b. So that means I'm going to divide each side by h. So I get 2a over h is equal to b. All right, so now I have it in terms of b, which is what they wanted. Solve for b. Okay, so again, what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video and I want you to try number 6. And in this one, you're solving for a. So go ahead and pause the video. All right, let's go ahead and see how you did. So remember, we're trying to get a by itself. And since a is in the numerator, the first thing you want to do is get rid of the 2 from the denominator, which means I can multiply 2 to both sides because it's going to cancel out here and it's going to cancel out here with that 2 on the bottom. So then I was left with 2d equals a times 2t minus 1, the quantity 2t minus 1. And since I'm trying to get a by itself, I can get rid of this whole quantity, or I can move it to the other side. So this is saying a times the quantity 2t minus 1. The opposite of multiplying is dividing, so I can divide each side by 2t minus 1. So then I have my equation solved in terms of a. So 2d over the quantity 2t minus 1 is equal to a. All right, let's take a look at our next topic. All right, so our next problem say solve. If the equation is an identity or if it has no solution, say so. So identity, remember, this is a review of Algebra 1. Identity means it equals itself, like it'll say 5 equals 5, or 0 equals 0, or 2x equals 2x. No solution means it doesn't work. It's not a solution. It would say something like 5 equals 100, which isn't a true statement. Okay, or it says leave the answer as lowest terms mixed number. All right, so let's go ahead here and solve. So the first thing I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to distribute the 3 to both. So I have 3x plus 15 minus 6 is equal to, I'm going to distribute 3 here, 3x plus 9. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to combine my like terms on the left-hand side. I have 15 and negative 6, so I'm going to get 3x. Well, 15 minus 6 is going to give me a positive 9, which is going to equal 3x plus 9. All right, well, at this point, I could stop because I noticed that they're exactly the same on both sides. 3x plus 9 equals 3x plus 9. So that means it is an identity problem. All right, so identity. The same on both sides. Okay, let's try number 9 together, and then you can pause the video and you can do 8 and 10. So let's take a look at number 9. So number 9, again, I'm going to start the same way. I'm going to distribute here. So I'm going to get 2x minus 4 equals, I'm going to distribute here, 2x minus 6. All right, so again, I need to combine my like terms. So I'm going to get 2x minus 8 equals 2x minus 6. All right, so now I'm going to get rid of my x's. So when I do that, I'm going to subtract 2x and 2x. So these go away, and now I notice I have -8 equals -6. Well, at this point, I can think and say, okay, well, -8 doesn't equal -6. That is not a true statement. So if it's not a true statement, then my answer is no solution. No solution. All right, so now what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video. I want you to try number 8 and number 10. Remember, if it equals itself, it's an identity. If it doesn't equal, like it's not a true statement, like -8 is not equal to -6, it is no solution. Okay, so pause the video. Okay, so how did you guys do? Well, let's take a look at number 8. We wanted to start by getting rid of the 7, so I multiplied 7 to both sides. Then when I did that, I got 23 minus 11x equals 35x. I combined the x's. I added 11x to the other side, which gave me 23 equals 46x. I'm trying to solve for x, so I had to divide each side by 46. And I got 23 over 46 equals x. But the directions say, leave the answer as lowest terms mixed number. So I need to reduce this. 23 over 46 reduces to 1/2, so x equals 1/2. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at number 10. Again, you wanted to distribute, combine all your like terms, and when we got here, we got -10 equals 5x. We're trying to get x by itself, so we divided each side by -10. We just divided each side by 5. So -10 divided by 5 over here gave us x equals -2. All right. Next learning topic that we have here, Roman numeral number 3, says, I can solve a system of equations by substitution. All right, so we're solving systems, meaning we're solving for both the x and the y. We want to know what the coordinate is. They have the x and the y. Because remember, you could turn these into linear equations, into lines, y equals mx plus b. So, okay, so for substitution, I need to move something around. I want to take this y because there's a coefficient of 1 in front of it, whereas this has a 5 in front of it, a 3, and a 2. So the coefficient of 1 is the easiest. I want to isolate the y so that I can plug it in to the second equation. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to move this 3 over. I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. So that's going to give me this. Y equals 5x minus 3. Sorry, the pen's not working. 5x minus 3. There we go. So now that I have that, since I'm using substitution, I can take all this and plug it into the second equation where I see y. So I have 3x minus 2 times the quantity 5x minus 3 equals 4. And now I can go ahead and solve. So I'm going to distribute the -2. So I have 3x minus 10x plus 6 equals 4. Again, I want to combine my like terms. So I get a -7x plus 6 equals 4. I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. So I get -7x equals -2. And then I'm going to divide each side by -7. So I get x equals 2/7. Okay, so now that I've solved for x, I need to go ahead and solve for y. Since this equation y is already isolated, that's where I'm going to plug x into. So I get y equals 5 times x, which is 2/7, minus 3. So when I'm multiplying, I want to multiply straight across. So I get y equals 10 over 7 minus 3. And now remember, in order to add or subtract fractions, they have to have a common denominator. So remember, there's a 1 underneath here. So the common denominator I want is 7. So I get y equals 10/7 minus, if I multiply 7 to the top and to the bottom, I get 21/7. So 10 minus 21, or 10/7 minus 21/7 is going to give me y equals -11/7. But then my answer says, leave answers in lowest terms mixed number. Okay, well, x equals 2/7 is already in lowest terms, so I'm just going to write it again. X equals 2/7. I'm going to put a circle around it because that's my answer. But the y I need to change into a mixed number. So I get y equals -1 4/7. All right, so what I want you to do is I want you to pause the video and I want you to try number 12. And you remember, you're isolating the variable that has a coefficient of 1. Okay, so what did we notice about number 12? Well, when we isolated for y here, we got 3x plus 6. Then we took it and we substituted it or plugged it into the other equation for y. And when I combined my like terms, I got 9x minus 9x, which means they canceled out. So I was left with -18 equals -2, and that is not a true statement. So my answer is no solution. All right, so the next one is saying I can solve equations by elimination. So we want to, whenever you do elimination method, you want to make sure the x's are stacked on each other, the y's are stacked on top of each other, and then the constants are stacked on top of each other. So in this case, I already have 4x plus 3y equals 12, so I need to rearrange some stuff here. So I'm going to rewrite underneath here. So I have 4x plus 3y equals 12. So now for my bottom equation, I want the x to come first. So since it's a -8x, I'm going to make it -8x. This is a positive 3y, so I'm going to say plus 3y, and then equals a -12. All right, well, when you're solving by elimination, you need to get rid of the x's or the y's because you can only work with one variable at a time. And it's your choice of what you want to get rid of. Since these two are already the same number, I think the easiest thing to do is to multiply the bottom equation by a -1 to everything. So on the top equation, I didn't do anything, so I'm just going to rewrite it. 4x plus 3y equals 12. I'm going to distribute this -1 to all three terms. So this is going to give me a positive 8x, a -3y, and a positive 12. So now, with elimination method, remember, you put like that equal bar underneath, and you go downwards, the sign of the number. So since this is a positive 4x and a positive 8x, that's going to give me a positive 12x. Here I have a positive 3y and a -3y. Those are going to cancel or eliminate, which is what we wanted to happen. And we have a positive 12 plus a positive 12, which gives us a positive 24. So in order to get the x by itself, I would need to divide each side by 12. So I get x equals 2. All right, now that I have x, I can plug or substitute x into either equation. You can choose whichever one you want. Choose which one you think is easier to solve for y. I'm going to pick the top. So I get 4 times 2 plus 3y equals 12. So 4 times 2 gives me 8 plus 3y equals 12. I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. So now I get 3y equals 4. I'm going to divide each side by 3. And so I get y equals 4/3. But it doesn't say in the directions if they want mixed numbers or improper fractions. So since they didn't say, you can leave it as either. Let's go ahead and leave this one as improper. So I have x equals 2 and y equals 4/3. Okay, so now it's your turn. Pause the video and you try number 14. Okay, so let's go ahead and see how you did. So we had to stack them on top of each other. They were already kind of like that, but I needed to make one of them cancel out. So I decided to get the bottom one here, 10x, to turn into a -20x, so that would cancel. But when I did that, if you notice, it came -20x plus 10y minus 20. And then when you did your work downwards, they all canceled out, which means 0 equals 0. And remember, if something equals itself, it's called identity. It means that these are the same line because essentially they're just linear equations. So if they're the same line and it's identity, it's what we call infinitely many solutions. And since they're asking you to solve for it, we need to say infinitely many solutions. If you put identity, that is okay. However, this is the better answer because since it's saying solve for it, it's asking you how many solutions. There's infinite amount of solutions. All right, so that's it for video 1. So thanks for watching.